So we're talking about explorative philosophy. This is in contrast to bullshit nonsense philosophy. Now, for 30 years, I taught on and off critical philosophy, intro to Western philosophy, philosophy as you would imagine, most of it since the 18th century. Now, there is another part of it called ancient philosophy that we focused on, which was Socrates. And so some of this is the contrast between what the Greeks were doing, what Socrates was doing and what we really do today. So I'm talking about explorative philosophy in contrast to what I call critical philosophy. So critical philosophy is linear and it is systematic, which means they're really trying to convince you. They're trying to go step by step through really particulate, almost scientific arguments to get you to understand and agree with what they say. Let's just talk about the three elements of explorative philosophy the way I see it now. If you were going to go back and uncover it and try to be a explorative social philosopher, one is paradox and irony. Today, no one wants paradox or irony. They don't want their ideas and their philosophy argument to seem contradictory. And so, in some sense, that isn't what you want. But in some sense, when you're getting to some deeper truth and the things seem to have a tension, that's something you're going to have to accept. So today we don't accept that. In the past we have. That's called paradox and irony. The other one I've just mentioned is unsystematic and nonlinear, which means explorative, conversational, social philosophy. You're not going to have the same expectations for systematizing. You're not setting them up in a rigorous, almost scientific like experiment in order to achieve a very particular goal. So we're just going into it and figuring out what's going on. And you may not have that expectation. Number three is getting into the zone. So this was a big part of Socratic philosophy, this idea that when you get into a real conversational question, discussion about the right depth about philosophy, you get kind of, your head gets kind of cloudy. And your head gets cloudy because of these contradictions, because of this non-linear nature of the process, but it's also because what Socrates really meant was you're in the zone. And I compare this to what Michael Jordan says about basketball, that sometimes it's about letting go of some of those linear expectations, just doing it. But you're doing it in a way that it's almost called art. And so when that's happening, that's when you get a different kind of product from it. That's the difference between critical and explorative. This is about the new expectations for explorative social philosophy. Maybe it shouldn't be called philosophy. Thanks for coming.